Bellator 282, Mousasi versus Eblen, full card prediction. We got Aguiar Mousasi, one of the greatest middleweights of all time, taking on the undefeated middleweight prospect, friends and training partners with UFC top 5 middleweight Sean Strickland. We got Danny Sabatello, Leandro Higo in the Bantamweight Grand Prix, as well as Magomedov, Enrique Barzola in the Bantamweight Grand Prix. One guy right here beat Piotr Yan, the former UFC champion. Got a decent fight here. I don't know why it's on the main card. And then we got a few former champions, title challengers, and things like that, like Zingano, Brent, Primus, and then a few other fights as well. But this is the full card prediction. Now, before we get in to this full card prediction, make sure to go down and click the like button. Make sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you guys get notified next time I make a Bellator, UFC, or just any type of video. With all that being said, let's get on the first one here in the Bellator lightweight division. Bryce, Logan, and Mandel, Nallo in the lightweight division. Now, they're both practically the same age, but the height and the reach, oh my gosh. Mandel Nallo at 6 foot tall, 75-inch reach. That is significant. That is very, very significant, because that is a lot of distance that Bryce Logan is going to have to cover before he can possibly land a takedown, because there's no way he's winning this fight without getting a takedown. If he loses the fight, it's going to be 3 rounds of striking. Mandel Nallo using his kicking game at range, using his jab as 1-2, just picking apart Bryce Logan from the outside, and that's how Bryce Logan would lose this fight. But to win, he really needs to close that distance, and it's going to be a really tough thing to do, as, again, Mandel Nallo is 3 inches taller and 5 inches longer in terms of the arm. So it's an interesting fight. I do lean Mandel Nallo to win. He's just a lot better of a striker, in my opinion. He's gonna be, he's rat garbage is his nickname, but his striking is not garbage at all. Getting a Superman punch right there, and then a knee knockout win on Carrington Banks right there. I think even if Logan goes for a takedown, Mandel Nallo has plenty of weapons in terms of his knees, his elbows, his kicks, to end up knocking out Bryce Logan if he does plan to go for a takedown. And if he doesn't, well, then it's 3 rounds of striking for Mandel Nallo. So I'm going to go Mandel Nallo to win this fight by a unanimous decision. Aaron Jeffrey and Fabio Aguiar in the middleweight division. Fabio, 18 wins, 2 losses, a lot older, but not nearly as tall or as lengthy as Aaron Jeffrey right there. Aaron Jeffrey, in my opinion, is going to have the clinching advantage, he's going to have the movement advantage, he's going to have the speed advantage, and overall is probably going to have the striking advantage. But Fabio Aguiar, in my opinion, is going to have both the power advantage, the wrestling advantage, and the jiu-jitsu advantage, which is why it makes it a decently close fight. Because on one hand, I can see Fabio Aguiar going out there, put on some big pressure, throwing some big Michael Chandler looping hooks and things like that, looking for the big shots on the feet to set up the takedown, and then Aguiar just grinds his wrestling and grappling to a decision. That's one way Fabio Aguiar could win this fight. The other way is him throwing those big hooks that he likes to throw and maybe catching the chin of Aaron Jeffrey and knocking him out. But I don't see either of those two things happening. Jeffrey's defense has shown to be pretty solid against more power punchers and wrestlers and grapplers. Against like the faster guys like Kyle Barrio recently on Dana White's Contender Series, it was very hard to defend a lot of those punches. He'll be able to here against Fabio Aguiar. So I think Aaron Jeffrey's going to go out there, have a lot of movement, just be on the back foot, circling, stand on the outside, and outspeeding and out-volume Fabio Aguiar. That's all he really needs to do. Stay on the outside, defend the takedowns, and just keep on picking apart Fabio Aguiar from the outside. It's a close one. Maybe a few takedowns here and there for Fabio, a little bit of ground and pound could definitely win him this fight. But Aaron's takedown defense has looked very good. His striking defense has looked very, very good. I think he picks apart Fabio Aguiar on the outside, on the back foot, circling around the cage for 3 rounds. I got Aaron Jeffrey by a decision right there. Lucas Brennan and Johnny Soto in the featherweight division. And I'm not one to knock the skills of Johnny Soto. Johnny Soto is a live underdog here. 4 wins and 2 losses. Yes, he did come off a loss to Adil Benjelani, and then he lost to Danny Silva right there. But his wrestling has shown to be pretty decent. I mean, he got the guillotine, ground pound TKO, a rear naked, and then grinded a very nice decision win on Weber Almeida. So he's been doing pretty impressive things inside the Bellator cage. But again, I'm not going to choose him to win. I think it's still a close fight for Lucas Brennan and Johnny Soto, because Johnny Soto, yes, he could go out there and do what he always does, get the assassin choke, the anaconda choke, the rear naked, the ground and pound TKO, or grind to a decision. Very, very likely, and that is going to be my prediction, in that he's going to land that submission later on in the fight, second or third round. But there's one thing that has to happen with a lot of these grapplers. Eventually, they're not able to land the submission. Eventually, they get a little bit tired. Their arms, they spent so much time squeezing on that rear naked, on that arm triangle, on that guillotine, whatever the case may be, and they get tired. And a guy like Johnny Soto, which in my opinion is a guy that's going to have the better cardio here, I think there's a good shot for him later on in the fight, if he can get there, if Johnny Soto can get there. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. I am going Lucas Brennan by a very first or second round submission. I think he catches him with a Darce this time around. But again, I'm going to say it one more time. Cardio goes Johnny Soto. I've seen many grapplers expend so much energy in the first round going for that finish, going for the submission, going for the TKO and ground and pound, that if somehow the later rounds do come, they don't have the cardio to sustain that grappling. They end up losing the second and third round and losing the fight. I don't think that happens here. I still am going to go Lucas Brennan by submission, but it is one thing to worry about, especially with a dog like Johnny Soto right there. I'm going to go Lucas Brennan by a submission in the second round. Dan Moret and Killys Mota in the lightweight division. Now, Dan Moret, 15 wins, 7 losses. A lot older, man. The dude is 35 and a half years old, and then Killys Mota is 31 and a half years old. Personally, I'm a little surprised he's a favorite right now. I'm a little bit surprised. He's going to be taller. He is going to be lengthier and things like that. He is, in my opinion, the more scrappy fighter of the two. But Killys Mota is going to have the wrestling advantage, personally. That's what I think. And striking-wise, he's got the kicking advantage. Dan Moret has the punching. He could make it a dirty fight, get the fight to the clinch, start throwing hooks, uppercuts, elbows, and things like that. Just make it a very dirty type of fight right here. But Killys Mota, I think I'm gonna have to go with the dog here. He's a plus 135 right now. I am gonna go Killys Mota to win. Although he is coming off a split decision loss to Mike Hamill, lost to Austin Hubbard in the 5th round, and Derek Anderson in the 2nd round. In all of these fights, or especially in the Derek Anderson fight, his wrestling looked pretty decent in those fights. I believe he'll be able to mix in some takedowns here on Dan Moret. Keep the kickboxing and boxing and striking overall pretty even with Dan Moret. And I'm going to go Killys Mota ever so slightly to edge out a very close decision. I mean, I'm not confident by any means, because Dan Moret can easily steal 2 rounds just by making it a war, a dogfight, landing some good shots in the feet, just with the punches, and win the round. That is why it is such a close fight, but I think striking will be even. The wrestling of Killys Mota will give him the edge on the judges' scorecards. Killys Mota in a very close decision. Cody Law and James Gonzalez in the featherweight division, 27 and then 32 years old. Now, James Gonzalez, he's kind of, I don't know why they're really bringing him into Bellator, as he is coming off a loss in his last fight to Phil Caracapa, however you say that name right there, a 9-2, up and down type of guy in his career. Again, I don't really know why they're bringing him into Bellator when he's coming off a loss. For the only reason that I could think of is, they kind of want to set up Cody Law with another good win. James Gonzalez has fought some beasts in his day. Fought Mike Trizano twice, lost to him the first time by decision, lost to him the second time by decision, lost to Bill Algeo. Beat Paz Sabatini with an arm injury somehow, lost to Levi Moles, and then Phil Caracapa right there. But it really just seems like the Bellator knows what they want to do here. They're bringing in a guy coming off a loss from some random organization who's fought some decent guys here and there. And they're just building the record. I mean, Cody lost 6 wins, 0 losses, finishes in almost every single fight except for Nathan Garib. They're setting him up. They are setting him up. Grappling, wrestling, striking, no matter what the case may be, he's the better fighter. And yeah, you can look at James Gonzalez's record and be like, oh my god, he beat Pat Sabatini. It was an arm injury. It was literally, Pat got hurt in the first 30, 40 seconds of that fight. So I do think the fight goes all the way. I think Cody can bring the fight wherever he really wants to. On the feet, he has the better striking. He can knock out James Gonzalez. If he doesn't manage to have the striking advantage, he can take down James Gonzalez and beat him there. So I'm going to go Cody Law inside the distance in the first or second rounds. Alejandra Lara and Lara Joanne, if I'm saying that one correctly, correct me down below if not, in the women's flyweight division. Alejandra is going to be the 2-1 favorite, a little bit younger, a lot taller, and a lot lengthier. This seems like a clear fight. Two girls coming off losses right here, before that getting a lot of wins. I mean, they're both very up and down girls. They're always like on a good streak or on a good losing streak. And I think it's going to go one of two ways. Alejandra Lara using the height, using the reach, staying on the outside and picking apart Lara Joanne with her striking for 3 rounds. Other thing is Lara Joanne makes this fight an absolute freaking war, puts on the pressure on Alejandra Lara, gets her back in the cage, just starts throwing, just like works on the cardio of Alejandra Lara, mixes in the takedowns, and wins a decision. It's women's MMA. I'm not going to be too confident on whoever I'm going for. 87% going Lara is a little bit too much in my opinion. You can't be confident with any of these two girls here. They're very, very inconsistent. But again, either Lara makes it a war, a dogfight, puts on pressure, lands takedowns, and wins the decision. Or, Alejandra Lara stays away from the takedowns, stays away from the big shots of Joanne right there, and picks her apart from the outside. I'm going to go Alejandra Lara by very close 29-28 decision. I don't think Bellator wants, too much to do with Lara Joanne. She's only really been beating losing record type of opponents, whereas, she's also kind of been beating some losing record opponents, but I think Bellator wants Alejandra Lara to get the win. I don't think it's going to be an easy win by any means, because, again, she doesn't really do too well under pressure. But I'm going to go Alejandra Lara by a very close decision right there. Sabah, Homasi, and Mendonca in the welterweight division. Correct me. I don't know how to say most of these names, but Maycon, 31 years old, a little bit taller, a little bit lengthier than Sabah Homasi, coming off a loss to Jaleel Willis. He's more of a rangy striker who mixes in a little bit of grappling here and there if he does get taken down. Look for a triangle, look for a guillotine, whatever the case may be. But again, I don't really think this fight's going to go to the ground. Sabah Homasi coming off a good triangle choke submission win over Jaleel Willis. It was a really, really solid win. I don't think he wants another submission. I don't think he wants to be known for a guy that has some pretty good striking and that takes down his opponents and submits them. I think a fight with Maycon Mendonca right here, Sabah Homasi really wants to impress the crowd. He wants to go out there, pressure Maycon Mendonca's back to the cage, close that distance, and just start throwing bombs. Make this fight an absolute war. Crack the chin of Maycon Mendonca early on in this fight and knock him out. And yes, Sabah Homasi could do what he did last time to Jaleel Willis, take down Maycon Mendonca and beat him that way, or he could beat him on the feet. I literally think he beats him everywhere the fight goes. So I'm gonna go Sabah Homasi, landing a big shot early on in the first or second round. Sabah Homasi by KO or TKO. Anatoly Tokov and Muhammad Abdullah in the middleweight division. 36, almost 37 years old. A guy that has fought how many times? 5 years in the last, 5 times in the last 5 years right now. He's going to be a lot older, going to be a little bit taller, a little bit lengthier and things like that. So, there's some advantage there, I guess, but he needs a knockout. We got a knockout win over there in boxing over Henry Mercer. Doesn't really get too many of them recently in his career, but 3 knockout wins, 7 decision wins, 1 DQ win. He's not the most powerful guy. These knockout wins were 2014, 2015, and in 2016 against mainly losing record type of guys. Bellator knows what they're doing. They're setting up Anatoly Tokov with yet another very, very good win. I mean, after the split decision with Sharaf Davlat Muradov right there, after that split decision, they want him to get a nice, good win and then give him a top 15 fight. So it seems pretty easy. The man has like no activity whatsoever. Came after 3.5 years off and beat a 13-20 guy. Yeah, you know what Bellator's doing here. Anatoly Tokov's going to go out there, light him up on the feet, take him down, submit him, TKO him. He's going to do whatever he wants. Anatoly Tokov inside the distance. Zingano and Pam Sorenson in the Bellator featherweight division. Zingano's going to be a little bit smaller in height, but she's going to have quite a bit of a reach advantage right there, and I think she's going to have the advantage pretty much everywhere. I'm talking speed advantage. I'm talking power advantage. I am talking volume advantage. I'm talking experience advantage. I'm talking wrestling, grappling, jiu-jitsu. Like, wherever this fight goes, she's going to have the advantage. Like, honestly, she went out there against Olivia Parker, submitted her easily in that fight. She's done it plenty of times in the UFC, submitted Raquel Pennington, knocked out Miesha Tate, knocked out freaking Amanda Nunes, and now she's fighting who? Pam Sorenson. Bellator wants her to get a nice, comfortable win here, set her up for the Chris Cyborg fight later on this year, or maybe in 2023, and with a girl like Pam Sorenson coming off a loss to Arlene Blanco, getting destroyed by Felicia Spencer right there, only beating Roberto Paisamad by a freaking split decision. Not very impressive. Wherever the fight goes, I think Kat Zingano is going to piece her up on the feet, land the harder shots, land more shots, and eventually look to take the fight down. I think she's going to want to land a lot of ground and pound in the fight, have it kind of go similarly to the last fight with Olivia Parker, where she's going to want to showcase her wrestling and grappling just a little bit more, so that people will think, oh, maybe she can go out there and out wrestle and out grapple against Chris Cyborg, which she won't be able to, but she could be able to here against Pam Sorenson. So I'm going to go Kat Zingano, taking the fight down, grinding for 3 straight rounds, winning the fight by a decision right there. Brent Primus and Alexander Shabily in the lightweight division. Now this is a fun fight. We have the new versus the old of the Bellator lightweight division. Former Bellator lightweight champion beat Michael freaking Chandler with an ankle injury right there. Then he lost to Michael Chandler by decision. Beat Tim Wilde by Google Plata. Beat Chris Bungard with a neck crank right there. Sadly lost to Islam Mammadov by split decision. Then he beat Benson Henderson by a unanimous decision. We already know what this man is going to try to do. Grapple and kickbox. He's a very good kicker on the feet, good leg kicks, good body kicks, front kicks, and things like that. And on the ground, we all know he's got legit jiu-jitsu. But Alexander Shabily, in my opinion, is just going to be slightly better than Brent Primus on the feet. He's got a little bit better striking with the hands, not really with the kicks. I mean, the kicking game is all towards Brent Primus right there. But in terms of the hands, Alexander Shabily should be able to go out there, pressure forward on Brent Primus, land the harder shots, land more shots, and win a comfortable decision here. I think if Alexander wants to test the waters and take down Brent Primus at the end of every single round, he could definitely do so. I'm not saying you should go out there in the first, 30 seconds of this fight and take down Brent Primus and plan to grind out a decision with wrestling and grappling, because chances are he's probably going to get caught with some sort of submission. So what I am venturing out to say is Alexander outstrike him ever so slightly on the feet, keep it very, very even, and then maybe 45, 50 seconds left in every round. Look for the takedown. He's got way better wrestling than Brent Primus. Just get the takedown, land a little bit of ground and pound on Brent Primus, and win the rounds that way. So I'm going to go Alexander Shabily by a unanimous decision. Brennan Ward and Kassius Kane in the welterweight division. This prediction is not going to take very, very long, as, you know, it's a pretty self-explanatory one. I mean, he's coming off a submission loss to Maycon Mendonca, got knocked out in the first round. Before that, you know, got a decision win over Montrell James right there by unanimous decision, but again, that was a 3-8 fighter. Devori Jackson, whoever that is a 6-7 fighter, 2-2, 8-4. He's not necessarily fighting the best guys, but he's got power. I mean, he could go out there, just start throwing, and land that knockout blow. He's got 8 knockout wins in his record, but Bellator is going to set this one up. Bellator loves to do this with a lot of their fighters, to just set them up with a nice, easy finish. And this is a finish either way. Whoever wins this fight, someone is going unconscious, because Kassius is coming in here with the expectation just to make it a fun fight. Throw bombs, look for the knockout, just make it an absolutely exciting fight. And then Brendan Ward, being just the better striker, is going to land some big shots in the feet, maybe even take the fight down and ground and pound the heck out of him. Because we're not forgetting, he could take down Kassius Kane in this fight. He could grapple Kassius Kane. He can keep the fight on the feet. Wherever the fight goes, it just seems like a pretty obvious prediction to me. Brennan Ward inside the distance right there. Magomedov and Enrique Barzola in the bantamweight quarterfinals for the Grand Prix to become the $1 million holder in Bellator. Same height, pretty similar reach right there. Now, you might be looking at this and see, what, Magomedov? This dude must be one of the greatest fighters that ever lived. He's only 18-2. He's almost an undefeated fighter. He's not. I mean, he's good. He's good. Don't get me wrong. He beat Petr Yan. He beat C.J. Hamilton, who's not that good of a fighter. He lost to Rafael Sanz and Petr Yan. That's it. That is it. I'm not out here trying to disrespect Magomedov, but he's not that good of a Dagestani guy. There's plenty of other Dagestanis out there that I would say is wrestling and grappling is a lot better, because he just got out wrestled by Rafael Sanz in the last fight. His cardio wasn't really that good later on as that fight went. Magomed just did not have too much success in that fight, and not to mention, he's not a Dagestani with that good of striking. You see every now and then you got a Dagestani with some really good wrestling, really good grappling, and then they got a really good kicking game, or whatever the case may be. Not really the case with Magomedov. He's got good movement on the feet and things like that, but not really much power in his hands, not that much speed. Good movement is about it. And Enrique Barzola is going to absolutely light him up on the feet. In my opinion, he lands way more hard shots than Magomedov. He has the cardio advantage over Magomedov. He's got the speed advantage. He's got the I think I might have already said that, the volume advantage over Magomedov. But again, he's a Dagestani. He has the one thing that Enrique doesn't, is the Dagestani wrestling. Of course, he could definitely go out there, take down Enrique Barzola, and grind to a decision. But haven't I told you, Magomed's cardio really is not that good. Enrique Barzola does very, very good in the later rounds. Was able to finish Darrion Caldwell in the later rounds. And I don't think we're going to see a finish here, but I do think with this fight, with Enrique Barzola and Magomedov, what we're going to see is an early onslaught of Magomed, landing a lot of takedowns, looking unstoppable early on in the fight. And then we're going to see Enrique get sweaty. The sweat's going to start to pour on Enrique Barzola. The takedowns are going to get harder and harder. Magomed is going to start breathing heavier and heavier. The takedowns aren't going to come as easy, and Enrique is going to start lighting him up on the feet, landing those shots, landing the volume. I got Enrique Barzola as the underdog to win this fight by a decision right there. Leandro Higo and Danny Sabatello in the quarterfinals of the bantamweight division in Bellator. Danny is younger. Danny is taller, a little bit less lengthy than Leandro Higo. Is the better wrestler, and then, yeah, that's all we really need to know. What else is there? What else is there? Oh, yes, the jiu-jitsu of Leandro Higo is very legit. Submitted Ricky Bandejas right there. Got a guillotine on Sean Bunch. But before that, man, against other good wrestlers and grapplers and things like that, like Aaron Pico, Darrion Caldwell, they're all very, very close fights, and none of these guys are as good of wrestlers as Danny Sabatello. We saw in the first fight with Darrion Caldwell, he went out there, took him down, got the guillotine in the first round on Leandro Higo. In the second fight, it was a split decision with Darrion Caldwell. If he's having that close of fights with Darrion Caldwell right now, getting taken down by Darrion Caldwell at this stage of his career, who is telling what Danny Sabatello is going to do? It's going to be the exact same thing he did with Jordan Lugo. He's going to take down Leandro Higo plenty of times throughout this fight, ground and pound Leandro Higo, and if Leandro happens to get up, Danny has cardio for days. He's just going to keep on going, take him down, and it's going to look at like another Jordan Lugo, Danny Sabatello. It's a dominant win incoming for the Italian gangster, Danny Sabatello. I think he is, honestly, a top 2 front runner to win the $1 million this year. It's probably him, Rafael Stotts, or Yeah, probably him or Rafael Stotts, honestly. I think those are the main two guys. But yeah, I'm going to go Danny Sabatello to win this fight by a unanimous decision. Gegard Mousasi and Johnny Eblen in the Bellator middleweight division. Johnny Eblen, 30 and a half years old, a little bit smaller and a little bit less lengthy than Gegard Mousasi. Now, we're not going to talk about the height, length, age, whatever the case may be. Let's talk advantages and disadvantages. Johnny Eblen, early on in the fight, will have the wrestling advantage. He will have the ground and pound advantage. He will have the strength advantage. Again, early on in the fight. What about later on? What about third round, fourth round, and fifth round? Well, that's where Gegard Mousasi comes in. We saw exactly what happened in his fight against John Salter, and John Salter looked very good early on, landing takedowns, ground and pounding Gegard Mousasi, doing very good with the wrestling and grappling. Then he started to gas out a little bit, and he just wasn't able to land the takedowns due to a lot of the sweat that had built up both on John Salter as well as Gegard Mousasi. This is going to be the same thing, in my opinion. Johnny's going to look very good early on. It's going to be like, oh my god, he's about to dethrone the dominant Bellator champion. But then his cardio is going to go down a little bit. His takedowns aren't going to be landing as easier due to all the sweat and due to the strength kind of declining round by round and the cardio declining round by round. And then the fight's going to be on the feet. Johnny Eblen is a good striker. He's got good power in his hands. Lands with him some very, very ferocious hooks and uppercuts and straights and things like that. He's a good striker. Obviously, Johnny Eblen is a very, very solid striker. But Gegard Mousasi is way better. I mean, Gegard in the later rounds, which I do think it will hit the later rounds, third, fourth, fifth round, I think it will hit that. Gegard's just going to start piecing up Johnny Eblen like he does with most of his opponents. They tend to look decent early on. That wasn't really the case for Austin Vanderford, but after that, Gegard is king. I mean, he has so much experience with, 47, 48 professional MMA fights? 57, 58 professional MMA fights? He's been the later rounds so many times in his UFC and Bellator career that Johnny Eblen is just he's gonna be no match for him in those later rounds. And I think Gegard, he'll lose the first round, second round will be pretty close, third, fourth, fifth round, they're all going Gegard. Gegard is gonna look absolutely amazing in those later rounds. Piece up Johnny Eblen round by round on the feet, landing the kicks, landing the jab, just using his movement on the outside, defending takedowns. And of course, I got Gegard Mousasi by a unanimous decision. Those are the full card predictions for Bellator 282, Mousasi versus Eblen. I got Gegard Mousasi, I got Danny Sabatello, I got underdog Enrique Barzola, Brennan Ward, Alexander Shabily, Kat Zingano, Anatoly Tokov, Sabah Homasi, Alejandra Lara, I'm not confident though, Cody Law, I got underdog Killys Mota, Lucas Brennan, Aaron Jeffrey, and Mandel Nallo. Those are the predictions. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's go. Bellator 282, Mousasi versus Eblen, full card prediction. Now, we're going to look at, first off, our super confident picks. Number one, Danny Sabatello. I think he can go out there and beat Leandro Higo from belt to belt. Wrestle him, grapple him, ground and pound him for the full entire 5 rounds and pretty much dominate this fight. Yes, there is the jiu-jitsu of Leandro Higo, but Danny Sabatello knows there's going to be jiu-jitsu involved. He'll defend the takedowns. He'll muscle through it. He'll technique through it. I mean, whatever he has to do, he can definitely do so in the fight. So I think that's going to be a pretty dominant performance by Danny Sabatello, as I am going to go for him to win this fight by a unanimous decision. That's my first super confident pick of the card. My second one as a super confident pick is going to be Anatoly Tokov. I mean, what do I need to say? He's literally better everywhere. Anatoly Tokov is going to be my second super confident of the card. And then last but not least is going to be Cody Law as my third super confident pick of the card. Again, he's better everywhere. And I think he wins that fight dominantly with a nice inside the distance win. That's it for my super confident picks of the card. In Cody Law, Anatoly Tokov, and then Danny Sabatello in order most confident to least. I got Anatoly Tokov, Cody Law, and then Danny Sabatello. And then after the super confident list, we go on to just a straight up confident guys. And number 1, we're going to have Gegard Mousasi. I'm confident he'll lose early on, but he'll come back and look very, very good in the fight. So he'll be a confident pick. Not enough to be super confident, not really that much to be a slight lean, just around that confident pick area. Then Zingano, again, she's probably going to be better everywhere. The reason she's not a super confident is it is freaking women's MMA. No way I'm putting women in super confident, especially after Valentina Shevchenko, Tyler Santos, Amanda Nunes versus freaking Juliana Pena. We're not putting women in super confident anymore. Another confident pick is going to be Sabah Homasi. I think he's kind of better everywhere, but he's a little bit inconsistent, which is why I don't have him in super confident, but I think he's a better striker. He's more powerful, better wrestling, better grappling. I think he wins pretty much everywhere. And then Lucas Brennan as another confident pick right there. Those are the confident picks in order. Out of all of my confident picks, number 1 most confident pick is going to be Lucas Brennan. Number 2 is going to be Zingano. Number 3 is going to be Gegard Mousasi. And number 4 is going to be Sabah Homasi. And then for the slight leans, it's pretty much everyone else. Bryce, Logan, Aaron Jeffrey, Dan Moret. Where was Alexander Shabily, and then Brennan Ward. Those are all. Oh, sorry. And then Enrique Barzola as well. Killys, Mota, Bryce, Logan. Sorry, I messed them up a little bit right there. We're gonna redo them, and I'll give my most confident to least confident right here. So number 1 most confident of the card, Anatoly Tokov. Number 2, Cody Law. Number 3, Danny Sabatello. And number 4, Lucas Brennan. Number 5, Zingano. Number 6, Gegard Mousasi. Number 7 is going to be Lucas Brennan. Number 8 is where it gets a little bit tricky on these. Well, number 8 will go Brennan Ward. Number 9 we will go... Number 9 will go Aaron Jeffrey. Number 10, Mandel Nallo. Number 11, Alexandra Shabily. Number 12 will go Killys Mota. Number 13, I'll go Enrique Barzola. And then number 14 as my least confident of the card, we're going to go Alejandra Lara. Those are the confident picks, super confident picks, and slight leans. My most confident to least confident. Thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's go.